Well, that worked.
All fancy.
that worked. Hello, everybody. Hello, North Alabama barbecue bullets and big rigs. See, Steve, that's what you need up there.
A big rig?
Barbecue and bullets.
Well, I got those. I just don't have a big rig.
Yeah. What's up, Brian? Did you like that? Me and Steve were talking about if he wondered if I could pull it off, and I was able to pull it off. So, yep. Here we are, Jack. I don't know if anybody else is going to show up. It may just be the 13 of us tonight. 14. Okay, there they come.
Did I get? No,
wait
I don't have the same lighting as Dave, but I have my good camera powered, not by batteries, so that's helping. But I did also pull out one of my video lights from the basement, and so it's doing a little better out here this week.
Yeah, hey, but obviously something changed, Steve, because he called you out on it. So I had to give him a little sound effects. Morning to you there, Chris. Hello, Jeff. Good evening. There's your neighbor's Minnesota custom made.
Yeah,
I got to grab a bottle of water. I left my tea in the house. So let me go over here and grab a bottle of water before I start needing it.
Yeah, north central Minnesota. I imagine you guys are hopefully not as wet as southwestern and south central Minnesota, but it's been chilly and wet here this week. So,
Got rain in Tucson.
Mark's cloudy and rainy in Tucson too. Wow.
Yeah, I bet that does. Somewhere like Tucson, I bet when it rains, that is probably a rarity. Here, like every afternoon, it rains a little bit.
Well, it's just a part down there right off the coast, so both.
Oh yeah. All right, guys. Well, what's on the menu tonight? As y'all know, me and Steve both have the. Did you said you have or haven't dropped yours yet, Steve?
Just working on it today, finishing up. So probably not tomorrow morning, but maybe Tuesday morning. But I did put a little teaser post on my Facebook page that I've been working on the Whizmaker, and you dropped your video yesterday, correct?
Yeah, my introduction video. I haven't done a whole lot of projects with it yet. I was, they kept telling us to hit pause on that. So so I've been playing around with it. I've done some cutting with it so far, so good. But I just kind of did like a 3 mile high flyover on the machine, and it's so far it has promise. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, no, I did a lot of testing today, cutting doing the material tests on 1/8 inch Baltic birch and a couple of the Lowe's and the Home Depot 1/4 inch-ish material. Did some engraving and then tested some thicker material. Got through 1/2 inch cedar in 2 passes and 3/4 inch pine. Took I was playing around with the speeds to try to get it to where it wasn't so charred and flame. It took about 5.5 passes to get through 3/4 inch pine. So it can do it. Of course, with that thicker stuff, it's slow and a little impractical if you're doing a really large item, but it's performing right up there with a lot of the other 20 to 24 watt lasers that I know you and I have both played with. So pretty happy about that. I think we both had similar issues. You had mentioned in your video that you had to loosen up the gantry for the laser module.
And, yeah, it was really snug.
Yeah, I don't know why they do that, because they're packed in the foam in a way that head can't move around, but they seem to torque it down, which can leave a little bit of a flat spot. So give it a day or so.
You had that. You had to resolve as well.
Yeah. Same thing. So, I was like, well,
Oh, you can't say I didn't warn you.
I've come to expect it on some of these, just that you got to work them in a day or so, and before you really finalize some of that. Let it move around a bit, let it acclimate. Like you mentioned in your video, maybe give it a little bit of heat, not too much, but a little bit. So, but yeah, no,
Yeah.
a nice laser. I agreed with you. It's the build is pretty simple. You can't really mess it up.
Oh yeah.
That was a nice
Yeah,
thing.
for those guys that don't like spending a whole lot of time with a screwdriver in their hand, it's it's not bad on that aspect of it. Oh,
Hmm.
you see the comment that I posted for you, don't you? You see, I just asked you
Yeah,
if you had some swag, and Brian's trying to get you to get some shirts or something.
yeah.
So
I had some. There was one place that was offering a deal on them, and so I said sure, but their their larges were a little small, and
yeah,
some of those places they use like the heat transfer instead of the actual screen printing, and they wear off so fast. But I'll have to play around with that. Maybe get some. I am sporting the Shelton County
hey,
Beach Festival shirt there.
all right,
So
Brandy, if you're watching, Steve's got the shirt on.
yeah, I, I'm
So
not purposefully covering it up because I'm ashamed. It's just like I was pointing
it's
out to you
cold
before
up
this.
there.
Yeah, it's 59 degrees. This is the humidity. The temperature is this 59 down here. Um,
Mm.
it's just, I mean, I'm not going to complain because I know it's going to get hot, and I'm not lucky enough to have my AC on the wall working like you do, and so it'll warm up, and I'll be
You,
complaining the other direction soon enough.
I'm sure you'll get it there soon. Yeah, Alabama barbecue says that if it's like Alabama, give it 30 minutes and the weather will change. So, but apparently there's some weather your way, maybe that you're interested in.
Warm weather from Utah. I mean, I'll take it as long as it's the dry weather from Utah too. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and of course Brian pointed out the obvious there.
hey, we don't name them.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, we don't name them. That is a weird name, but you got to think, guys. I don't know who's on their staff for picking out names.
you know what? Hey, at least we can pronounce this one though.
Yeah, yeah, you can actually know how to say it instead of some of the other ones.
Oh,
Dave, is that Fresca? No, guys. Hey, hang on. Let me show you here. It's not Fresca. That's good old fashioned, great value Sam's Club water, guys. This is as cheap as you can get. No, no, that's water. Brandy, she likes the shirt. She says she's what did she say? I've got two. Yeah, she's got plenty of those. But now, like I said, I've got I've been playing around with the machines, and there's some other machines that I've been messing with that has the Z axis, and that I think is going to be standard equipment as we move forward. Uh, and at first, I had mixed emotions about having a power Z axis because I wasn't used to it. I kept running into things with it because I'd forget to raise it up or lower it and forget to focus it. So for about 2 or 3 days, I was really kind of like I was not an advocate of the Z-axis for about 2 or 3 days because you have to, how you have it in your mind, step one, step two, step three. But as I have used the machine more, which I have the two trees in my new enclosure, it's starting to grow on me. I'm actually starting to like it. So it is another step of convenience. The
hmm.
only thing that I wish Two Trees had done is I wish they'd have made it to where it would work with the M8 relay for the air assist. Then I wouldn't. It would take down so many steps of the process, but they didn't. So
Yeah, that's once I get the video edited for the Wizmaker, and I actually need to finish editing the chuck rotary for the Atom Stack one. I'll be working on the IKEA machine this week, and that definitely has that Z axis as well. And I'll be curious to see if I run into some of the same things you've been finding with your Two Trees one, as far as the resetting the origin point or the home point when you touch that off. I'm used to in CNCs you can set your home and you can individually you can probe your Z without messing up your your zero for your X and Y. So uh, that's how I would expect it to work. Um, but once you
Eh,
kind of figure that out, you're going to have to like arrange your order of operations, do one first and
yeah,
then the other.
yeah. You have to with this one, and I know there's probably somewhere in the software, and they could do some programming. Maybe it wouldn't do it. But I have tried different methods. But when you do the touchdown and lift back up, it forgets where it's at. Like it brainwashes it. So if you don't home it, uh, it bad things can happen. So,
Yeah.
but yeah. But once you get used to it, it's not that inconvenience. You've got to build that habit. Uh, but I guess Brian, have you got one of those machines? Are you speaking from experience, or are you just assuming? Uh, Running home after touching the laser hand. I think he's talking about if you had when he focuses it by hand. Yeah, I think that's what he's talking about. But yeah, all the new technology, the new technology, it's good things, but for us folks that have learned without the new technology, there will be a learning curve. And I try not to be biased because of that. Because the first day or two I told my buddy Klein, he came over here, and I was like, I thought Z-axis was going to be something that I wanted, but I'm really starting to rethink that. And and he was like, yeah, it looks like it's a little bit of a little bit of an inconvenience. But then I called him back a couple of days later, and I'm like, hey, 2 days of testing, starting to get the hang of it. It's not a bad thing. It's actually, and now I'm kind of more on the. It seems like a good thing. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I think that's going to be. I think there's going to be a lot more of those machines come.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I like to give myself a little bit of time with the machine before I throw a video out there. And this goes back to my days of writing for FlyRC magazine, where I would be doing reviews on model aircraft. Um, you could always tell when someone had just kind of pulled it out of the box, did a couple quick flights, and didn't really have a good understanding or experience with it. And I've also had similar to that, where my first few experiences with a tool or an airplane or something were horrible. I didn't like it, and I was like, "This is the worst thing ever." Until I work with it a bit, maybe tuned it up, found some of the quirks in and out of it, and then I've done 180s on that to where I love the tool, or I love the airplane, and so I always try to make sure I give it a fair shake, try to run it through a project or two before I really kind of put my thoughts down into a video or into an article and such. Um, just because I've experienced that, where my initial reaction wasn't my long-term reaction. So that's where I really don't care for the just straight unboxing videos. Unless that's all they're doing, is just saying, here's what you get. It's when they do an unboxing video and say, okay, this is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm like, how do you know? So
Yeah, that's
yeah.
see, I have a weakness when it comes to unboxing, because when I come home from work and I've got a laser, it's like to the shop, ripped a box open. I mean, I have actually burned pieces of machines before, because I throw the box in the burn pile. I've got it together, and I'm working it, and I don't do real well with the unboxing, because to me, you know, it's, I guess, assembly's not bad. I mean, some machines, I think it's needed, because some of the assemblies on some of these books aren't great. But for the most part, I don't know that guys want to just sit and watch me put machines together. So I've kind of moved away from doing as much of that, unless it's one that I get a lot of questions about. Then I can go back and and make a video. But I try to just do I get them on the table and I start making smoke like first day. You've seen it. I've seen you pictures before, coming up the driveway. I got a box, and then like an hour later, I'm doing speed tests, and you're like, "What the heck?" But I get in here and start burning things. Oh, I just enjoy it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
no,
that's what I'm talking about, Brian. The legs that I burnt. I finally figured out what happened to them. They were
yeah, they were
in a little
there,
compartment inside the plastic and got burned.
there was a layer of foam in between them. Yeah. Uh, Yeah, no, I mean, I'll do the same thing. I'll jump in and I'll put it together and I'll play with it. And I've kind of gotten feedback from people as well that they don't, they're going to skip through the build quite a bit. So a lot of times what I'll do is I might time lapse it, or if I find myself tripping over a spot as I'm building it, I'll get the other camera on and say, okay, let's take closer up of this. And so then I try to just highlight, hey, here's a couple spots you might want to pay attention to in the build. But yeah, I try to gloss over that unless it's a fairly technical setup or something that needs more explanation. And but no, I jump in and play right away. I just try to give my I want to give myself some time to either ensure that, hey, this is going great. Let's make sure it goes great multiple times, and that it's not a
Yeah.
fluke. Um, or this went bad. Let's take a step back and figure out, is it something uh, something that isn't that something I'm doing and such. So that and that's what I tell most of the manufacturers when they contact me. I said, however long it takes you to send it to me, plan on it being probably a good 3 weeks, because I want 2 weeks of just using it and then another week to edit the video, just because as much as I would love to crank it out in a day, it just doesn't happen for me. There's too many other things that are busy. And that might change a little bit here over summer. I've had kind of a busy time with travel and end of semester at the college, but no, it's I'll try to beat that expectation, but I try to give myself that time just to make sure that I have a
Yeah.
pretty good understanding of it. But
Mark wants to know if you've
Mark's
ever
wondering.
had like a, yeah, I go ahead.
Um, trying to think. Um, not so much with any lasers. I mean, short of, over time you're going to kind of have some degradation that needs some maintenance. I've had that. I'm going to say this, probably with 3D printers the most, where you get it dialed in and it works great, and then you let it sit for a little while, and then it doesn't work great because now you almost have to kind of start over with the alignment and the bed leveling and such. I've seen that in other people where they get it out of the box, the few prints work great, they set it aside, they don't maintain it, they pull it back out, and now they're all frustrated because everything's out of whack. Um, I'm trying to think with the lasers. No, I don't think there's any that they either start out, hey, this is good, this is typical, or something's not right. um,
Yeah.
as far as tools.
Usually you can tell during the assembly how the laser is going to operate by the tolerances, the attention to detail, the steps, the way that they have you put it together, all those things. Because a lot of times, the more complex these machines are, in my opinion, the more margin of error there is when you're assembling it. I had a guy, or actually, yeah, had a guy today message me about one of my files and was saying that the cuts don't line up, things won't fit together, and I'm like, I've sold a bunch of these, and I don't get that complaint. And so I told him, I said, look, I will confirm for you that the file is not broken. So I went to Etsy, I downloaded the file, and burned it, and wow, it worked. So a lot of times people don't, they think that it's just because they can engrave and do jobs and everything works that their machine's perfect. But when you start trying to do things that have to clip together, the slightest little misadjustment will show itself. Uh, and so I think the simpler a machine is to assemble, for those people that don't like adjusting on machines, that's probably where you need to stick, is those simple assemblies, because that's really less chance that you're going to mess something up putting it together. And I hate it when I can't help people, but a lot of times, me and you, we try to give people information and, hey, do this test or adjust this. But sometimes folks just, they have a hard time getting everything adjusted correctly. And I know
Mhm.
that can be aggravating, uh, especially if it's, you've saved and work to save you money, and then you buy it and you get it home, and it's either, and it usually gets blamed on the machine and the work quality of the machine. But I think a lot of times these laser companies get a bad rap because it's not necessarily their work quality; it's the people not completely understanding how to put them together correctly. So
Yeah, and the most common ones I see is the, they're it's the belt tension and the wheels, because you see some of these photos they'll release and say, why is this so out of alignment? And it's a circle, and the joining ends are an eighth inch off, and they're oval and whatnot. It's like, well, it's obviously a mechanical issue at that point. You gotta tighten up those belts, or maybe
yeah,
loosen them, and then check your wheels. So um, yeah, it's and I think that's where both you and I try to put some good information out there to try to help people. Um, and I know we also get a lot of questions that we try to answer on the side. Um, can't
yeah.
always do that, but whenever I can help someone, I try to, because that's just my nature, and the whole reason I started putting videos out there. Really, was just like,
I was
here's some
fixing to say that.
information, share people.
I was fixing to say that's kind of the reason me and you are actually on YouTube, is because that's how it started, trying to help people understand things and explain them in a way that
Mm-hmm.
we can. But yeah, before we get too carried away, I don't know if there's any other mothers out there watching, but I know today is Mother's Day. If you were able and you're blessed enough that your mother is still with us, I hope that you got to see her and spend some time with her, at least talk to her. If not, wives, sisters, significant others. But if there's any ladies in the room, happy Mother's Day to you. I know we usually have a few ladies in here. I don't know if they're with us tonight or not, but just before I forget that, let me go throw that out there. Want to make sure we don't leave anybody out on that. So
Well
just in
said.
case, just in case. I did go get to see my mom today, so that was fun. She lives a long way away, so it was a long ride, but you know she doesn't ask for a lot. So I went to uh, I went to see her. We actually got to eat twice with her. We stayed there long enough. We actually got to eat twice. So
Nice.
yeah,
Well, uh, we normally go and do kind of our plant run, because that's one thing that Carla really likes, is expanding the garden and the flower beds and such. And so normally that's
yeah,
a big Mother's Day thing. We go and do that, but it's just been so wet here, and it rained most of today, that we're gonna have to probably put that off till another day or
yeah.
two, let the ground dry up a little bit, and then we'll go do that.
Well, yeah. Anytime there, Dottie. Like I said, happy Mother's Day to you. But I'm kind of in the doghouse for Mother's Day. I don't know if you saw the post my wife put about the tree. She blames me. It wasn't my fault.
Accidentally.
Well, she planted the thing like 20 years ago. She planted this tree and she thought it was a shrub, right? So she planted it right up against the side of the house, and it wasn't. It was like a cedar, cypress, or something type tree, and it took it a few years, but it eventually proved her wrong on the fact that it was a shrub. But when I put the water line in and the internet out here, apparently I cut one too many roots on the tree, so it didn't survive. I waited until the needle started falling off of it before I cut it, but so I had to cut it down the other day. And I didn't know she had made a post the same day saying that I had killed the tree. So like later that afternoon when I got home from work, I went ahead and cut it down and took the tractor and cleaned it up and everything. And she's like, "What are you trying to cover your tracks?" So, but anyway, the good news is I have a bunch of American chestnuts that I have just got sprouted. They're probably about almost 2 foot tall now. I put them in sawdust last year and they came up. And I've got some dogwoods. I've got some witch hazel and just planted some plums and blueberries. So hopefully that'll help take the edge off of her losing a spruce, pine, or whatever. A workaround for Desktop Pro to use more than one model. That may be a CNC question. Steve, you may have to take that one.
Uh,
I'm not sure what that is.
There is
Desktop.
a workaround for desktop and pro to use more than one model. They're probably talking about vCarve.
Mm. Yeah, there it is. I think that's what they're talking about. Yeah, yeah. I missed out on that conversation. I don't know anything about the CNC stuff, guys. Y'all keep rubbing it in.
Well, yeah, we gotta work on that.
Good evening, there, Ron. Well, I ain't got room right now. I got to do something about that.
Yeah,
Flowers work also, do. No, Brian. If I bought flowers, my wife would swear I'd done something really bad. That's
see
just not me.
now going back to the plant things. I'm under direct orders never to bring home flowers that are just going to die
Mm-hmm.
in a vase. So that's why
They have to.
anytime we buy them, it's got to be something that it's either a house plant that is going to stay alive,
Oh,
assuming we keep it alive, or it's an outdoor plant that lasts longer. So
I
otherwise,
did
she's
get
like,
her
just give me the.
something.
She's like, don't spend money on flowers that are just going to die. Just give me the money if you're going to do that. So,
Oh,
and he ran away.
hey, crap.
Dipped roses. What are they
Actually,
dipped
got
in?
her. I didn't get her. I didn't get her a dozen, but look, I got her 8. I mean, how could you not? How could you not love that? But I got 8 of these guys.
Yeah, but they're going to get
Flood.
bigger.
Yeah, but look how cute. Look at that. I mean, look into those eyes and tell me that's not a face you would love.
It's got dark eyes you can't see into.
Yeah, but they're cool. I would sit him on a table, but there's a cat sitting right here, and he's too small to defend himself. So I'm gonna put him back in
Yeah.
the pen.
See, Chris has a machine he'll send you.
Do what now? A machine he'll send me.
Yeah, he's got a 3040 gathering dust.
You know where Chris is located at, right? I don't know how much the postage would be. I don't know how big this thing is, but I'm pretty sure it would be expensive.
Well, you know,
I'm looking at them, guys. I'm going to eventually get one, but I've got so many projects. See, I know me well enough to know that if I got a CNC and I got it and I brought it home, I would be sitting out here trying to learn it. And these projects that I have that I'm trying to get done with, I would never get them done. So I can't buy any new toys until I get the projects done that I'm working on. I've still got 2 walls that I haven't got insulated yet because I had to work on my trailer this weekend, yesterday, which was the only day I had off. I put the shelves in my trailer to get ready for the events that are coming up into this month and in June. So I have to prioritize, and I know me well enough to know that that would definitely interfere with me getting things done. So
well, you sort it out and then figure out how to get me down there again, and I'll give you a crash course on it.
yeah, well, I don't know that you're going to be wanting to drive anytime soon. By the time I get one, you'll probably be ready to come back to Georgia again. So we'll see.
You know, if we get another 7-month winter, I'm going to be looking for excuses to head south.
Catch a break in the snow and head down here for a while.
Yeah, I'll go visit my dad for a little bit, and then I'll take another break and swing down your way.
Yeah, but now I appreciate the offer though, Chris. Yeah, you could probably. I'm sure you could probably sell that and get you some money to support your lasering habit or something. I am going to get one. I'm going to let Steve help me make the decision because Steve knows more about those than I do. and I have another buddy, Tip. He's here local. That he's got a CNC. He knows a little more about them than I do. So before I purchase one, I'll probably get with them. I've looked at the Two Trees models, but those don't look like they're big enough to do what I would want to do. The Two Trees looks like a decent machine, but I don't think it would do much more than what my lasers do.
Well, each tool for its own thing. There's a lot of overlap between lasers and CNCs, but I should say CNC routers. Lasers are CNCs, but yeah, there's definitely things that the routers can do that the laser can't, and things that each does better. So
yeah, and that's what I'm afraid of, Chris. If I ever do build another shop, I would be a lot more open to getting one. And I've about figured out how I can take the heater out of here now, do some rearranging, move some of these tools out of the middle of the shop, and actually have room for one. But like I said, I got to get the rest of my projects done before I bring any new toys home. Uh, I mean, there's a lot of things I would love to do, but money and space right now are my two biggest holdups.
well, if you're like me, that
But
project list never shrinks.
well, 2 years and 4 months, bro. 2 years and 4 months.
Yeah, just rub that in.
I'm giving up that Monday through Friday. I am giving it up. That is, I will be retired at a little over 50. I'll be retired. That's my joy. That's my goal.
It's a good goal.
Yeah, Brian, I can imagine that a CNC could do some bad things if you didn't have your material clamp right.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you can start a fire with a CNC as well. So both types of machines are to be respected and monitored, and a plan for shutting them down and dealing with stuff. So yeah.
Now, Brian, I've already got a pretty big honeydew list with, just maintaining this property and keeping it, to where it doesn't look too snaky is a pretty good little job. I kind of skipped out on grass cutting this weekend, but since it's gotten really hot, the grass has slowed down slightly. So I skipped it this weekend. I'm gonna try to just sneak that in during the week. But between that and my own, like the shop and the trailer and stuff like that, man, I can't get caught up. But the good news is I did some stove covers out here the other day. First time I've done any since I got the air conditioning. I did sweat a little bit, but man, it's nice. It is nice, Steve. It is really nice. I'll be thinking about you this summer.
I was browsing them briefly while waiting for one of those laser jobs to finish, and
Yeah.
I don't know. I may. It's not top priority, but we'll see.
Well, heat would be more something I would think you would need up there more than the air conditioning. But you say it gets hot up there. I'll take your word for it. We'll see. We'll see. We'll about August, we'll look at your thermometer then.
Well, August it starts drying out. Mid to late July, it can be pretty disgusting up here. So, but yeah, Brian, I actually the shop garage that I'm in, actually built the whole thing with the help of a couple other people. The only thing I didn't do was pour the concrete for it, and so framed it up, electrical, drywall, insulation, all that stuff. So, unfortunately, my biggest disappointment is I did all the electrical and put all the insulation in and drywalled it, and now I want to change half of it, which is annoying when you have all this drywall that's nicely done. So, but I know where it's all at. I know how it all goes together. So, yeah, it definitely could be doable. So,
Yeah. The Brian was talking about getting goats. Brian, coincidentally, I just told my wife this week that when I retire, that's one of my projects is I'm going to put a fence up across the back 5 or 6 acres all the way around to the edge of the yard where the dogs can go. and I'm going to get me 3 or 4 and throw off in there to help keep that clean, so I ain't got to constantly be going up through there, with clippers or bush hog or whatever. But I can't do that until I retire, because right now I don't want to be at work and get called and told one of my goats has jumped out of the fence or something. So I'm going to wait till I retire. I agree with you, JD. Air conditioning used to be just a luxury, but now it's becoming a necessity. And I'm at 50% insulated, but the 50% that I have insulated is the 50% that faces the south and up the ceiling. So it worked. It got up to like 75 in here today because of the heat, but that's still a lot better than 100 degrees or so that it would have been if I hadn't had the air conditioner. And my power bill only went up like $1.50 a day. So
Yeah, that's a thing with those mini split heat pumps is they're fairly efficient. They don't cost a whole lot to run, um, compared to like you mentioned. I mean, I would enjoy it for you get the right one, and they're gonna heat just as well down to some pretty cold temperatures. As a matter of fact, with a lot of them. Right now, I run a little 1500 watt electric radiator out here, and it barely keeps the temperature tolerable for the machines and such. The same amount of power on that heat pump would do a lot more for me. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, for me it's both seasons, and also it would help with the humidity a bit in the summer. That's almost as bad as the temperature when you're dealing with woodworking and such. So
yeah. Now you don't see a whole lot of sheep around here where I'm at there, Chris. I actually want the goats to where they'll eat. I want them to pretty much eat everything but the trees. And I've been told as long as I keep them enough food, they won't chew the bark off the trees and kill them. So uh, we'll see. Uh, I think the key is not to have too many goats to where they start getting hungry, because they will kill your trees. I've been told that. But well, nobody's got laser questions tonight. We're just going to sit around and talk about sheep and old folks stuff. It's like we're all old or something. I don't know what's going on here. My wife would say I'm getting old.
um,
Used to I'd
you
be
know,
out somewhere doing something on a Friday night, and the other night I'm in here building stuff on a Friday night. It's like it's like you might be old.
well, that's how the saying goes. We used to sneak out to go to parties, and now we find ways to sneak out of parties.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we don't have any questions. We have done our job well, Steve. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, so up here in Minnesota, it's a double holiday weekend.
is it?
Yeah,
What
of
holiday
all
you
the
got?
infinite wisdom. So it's Mother's Day weekend, and it's
Mhm.
also the Minnesota fishing opener,
Okay. Didn't know that was a thing.
which
Didn't know that
which
was a thing.
which seems to go over really well with all the moms. Where
Yeah.
hey, I mean, there's a lot of moms that love to go fishing as well, because it's also take a mom fishing weekend. Moms can fish for free without a license during this weekend and such.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, it's the fishing opener, so everybody's out on the lakes in the rain, of course, down here in southern Minnesota, and all the moms are enjoying their day as well. But so it's a quiet weekend from that front. But yeah, I did go to our favorite store, Menards, today, because they had a special on something that I've been looking at, and I kind of bought it, with the idea that I could take it back if I didn't really want it. Uh, Surprising how many people were out in the rain, buying stuff today too. So
Did you get a pizza while you was there?
no, no.
Oh, listen, look. See, this is the kind of abuse I get here, guys. Mm-hmm.
Planning a trip to Hobby Lobby.
Yeah, she was making fun of me because me and my buddy of mine was talking about going to Hobby Lobby the other day. And she's like, "What in the world? Who is this man?"
Yeah, see, I
And it's
I
it's the
tried.
same guy I used to go to Thunder Beach with back when we all rode bikes. So it's kind of weird.
We have one in town, so it's really close for me. But I try to avoid it because it's always chaotic. So we have a
All right,
Michaels in town as well, so I'll go there.
you brought it up.
What did I buy? All right, well, let's see. All right. The funny thing is, I have a similar one that's actually bigger.
Oh, wait a minute, Steve.
Here,
You bought one just like mine.
there.
Yeah, you bought one just like mine. That's
Um,
cool. That's a newer one, I think. What model's that?
uh, so the funny thing is, here, let me move this other thing out of the way.
Mm-mm-mm. Does your wife know you got that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Because say if she didn't, she does now.
It's the smaller version of that.
So you
There.
downsized, or you just needed another one?
Well, it's in addition to. So
Okay.
I have a I have a small 9-inch Craftsman bandsaw down in my basement workshop, and it's been working okay, but uh, it's been getting harder to find parts for it, and I don't like the guides on it and such. And so I haven't necessarily wanted to replace it, but this one's normally, I think they normally sell it for like $4.99, but they had it on sale for $2.99, and they also have their famous 11% rebate on everything right now. So I'm going to get another $33 back from it. So I figured at that price, I'm going to grab it because the sale went through today. So I
Yeah.
thought I'd grab it. That way I've got it at that price. I've got a couple weeks if I want to return it. But I'm pretty much probably going to put it together and keep it. But I also thought it'd be good because, I might make a decent video on why if you've been messing around with lasers, why having a small bandsaw like this could be helpful as well. So
Oh yeah. Oh, I love mine. I think I've got the exact same one that's in that box. Now the other one looks bigger, but
yeah, the other one's a 14-inch.
mine's
This is a
either a 9 or 11. Or I'm not sure what size it is.
yeah, this one's a 10-inch that I bought today, and the other one's a 14. So
Yeah, mine has a 6-inch resaw capability, so I think it's a 9. But I've got resaw blades that where I can make thinner material if I need to for lasering and stuff. Mark, I have done maps that I've made from Google Maps, but not necessarily GIS maps. I haven't done any of that. How about you, Steve?
I've played around with it a little bit to get it in. It depends on the area and what I'm going for. Some of it works pretty well. Others they take a lot more tweaking. But if one of these days, if I really get it down right, yeah, I think that'd be another. There's a number of videos out there that walk you through it and such, but I think I've done the Google Snazzy Maps. I think is what it is. And they have a few different templates that are actually meant for laser engraving, and those generally get me 90% there anyway. So, pardon me, I'm going to adjust this a little bit more.
Oh, Victor, I've got a longer 5 watt. Matter of fact, I think that's it right above my head. Yes, that is it right above my head right there. And that thing actually cuts really good for a 10 watt. It was very surprising. So let's see, 40 millimeters per minute. 60. That's really, really slow for 40 millimeters per minute. Are you sure you're not running 40 millimeters per second? Because that would barely be moving if it was right. So y'all making me do math. Y'all know I don't do math. Me and math don't get along. So if you're doing 40 divided by 60, yeah, that should be starting a fire without air assist. That's only 0.6 millimeters per second. So I'm thinking you're actually running 40 millimeters per second, which is going to be way fast. I mean, am I wrong? Am I? That's really slow.
Yeah, especially at 8 passes. I would.
Yeah, that surprised that's not starting a fire that slow, because I know the longer does not have air assist unless you've added it. I'm gonna need some clarification. 1.5. Hmm. 4.75 millimeter birch. I mean, it's going to be tough, but I would think it would do it in 4 to 5 passes. But 40 millimeters per minute is throwing me, because that translates to like 0.6 millimeters per second, which is barely. I mean, you have to hold your thumb out to see if it was moving. So
Yeah, and depending on the birch plywood, um, like Baltic birch that I use, it's definitely harder than your typical, uh, big box store kind of 1/4 inch, 5 millimeter
yeah,
stuff. I actually get about the same speeds out of 1/8 inch Baltic birch as I do the 4 to 6 millimeter um, plywood that we use for other stuff. So
yeah, I'd be
um,
interested if that was correct on the speed though.
Beaver Creek Farm Life's asking, what is the kind of the next step up from Luan? Um, Stuff they've been getting there is garbage, debris, anything from tar to heavy soot. I don't know if you have a Lowe's or a Home Depot near you, but these are two that I've been messing with. The Lowe's is their 5 millimeter, I think they call it Revolution ply, and that seems to work okay. And then Home Depot has their kind of 1/4 inch sanded plywood, and both of them kind of have a softwood, like a poplar type core, and those
Yeah,
seem to be a little bit better than some of your typical Luan. But
yeah. This is that Home Depot stuff you're talking about, and
yeah,
it's a little harder to cut than Luan, but it does a pretty good job.
yeah, I've used it. My friend Mike in town has been messing around with it, and he did find a. He was doing a cut, and there's a void kind of in the middle layer on one of his things, and that kind of flared up a bit on him. So you do kind of have to look out for some imperfections in it. But at the price, I wanted to say it was around $30 a sheet, give or take.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's like 26 or 27 here. It may be
yeah,
different where you're
yeah,
at.
I think it's after tax, it's about $30 a sheet. So that's as long as you have a way to break it down. I mean, usually most Home Depots will do 1 or 2 cuts for you for free. As long as you've got a way to break it down for your laser, that's a pretty economical, decent wood to use. But yeah, this Lowe's Revolution ply is very similar to it, about the same price as well. Um, and although it's kind of almost a reddish color on this side and a little more yellow on that side. So
Yeah, if that's anything like some of the red that I've got before, though, I think that's some kind of a like it's just on the very outside, because when you sand it, it's actually like a poplar wood underneath there. I've had
mhm.
some similar to that. Uh, Philip is saying he's struggling with the Chuck rotary, and I know me and you both have videos on those. Uh, there's several things it could be, Philip, but you want to make sure that you do enable the rotary on the settings, and then set the rotation, the millimeters per rotation on that when you're setting it up. And I know Steve has videos on it as well as I do, and surely between the two of us, we can we can help you get that. So uh,
So
go.
yeah, a few things on that, just real quick. Like you say, you want to try to double check the manufacturer settings for your millimeters per rotation, and then make sure if you're using light burn, put it into start from current position, and then I like to have it start middle left. so that it would be actually be the top middle portion of whatever my graphic is. That kind of helps me get it lined up rather than trying to start in the top or the bottom corner. I try to have it align with the middle part of the graphic. So those are three things that might help get your orientation started. And then, yeah, other than that, you're gonna take a little more tweaking on the exact rotary and laser you got. So
Somebody want to know what you're gonna do with them slabs that you've been sitting on for like a year now.
they're for looks.
Well, hello, Sharon. Sharon made it. Happy Mother's Day, Sharon.
Yes, happy Mother's Day. So the slabs back here, yes. Some of them have a purpose. I have plans to do a walnut dining room table for us, as well as I have some chair kits from Matt Cremona that I've been working on very, very slowly. But then some of them are also just, I have a friend who has, his family owns a logging business here in Minnesota. They do a lot of large jobs for cities and corporations and such. They do a lot of clearing around for highways and developments and such. And on the side, he also has a sawmill business. And so he often gets heavy inventory and offers the material up really cheap. So his name's Matt Collins. He's out of the Northfield, Minnesota area. And so I've picked up extra slabs just to have material on hand as well for stuff, because I was paying like $5 a board foot for this, which is pretty cheap for kiln dried, two-side flattened walnut slabs. So
Yeah. But Victor's saying that it's really slow. It does have air assist and a honeycomb. But that's, I don't know, unless check your what is it, $30 or the S value. Is it $30? Is that the right one, or is that am I thinking wrong?
Yeah, that sounds right.
It's the S value. Check the S value.
Double check your check your lens, make sure that it's clean.
Oh,
that it doesn't have
he said it. He
have a
said the
marking on it.
speed is millimeters per minute. If he's going 40 millimeters per minute, that's going to be, Victor, you're going to want to slow that down to sub 10 millimeters. If you have air assist, you can go even lower than that. But typically, I'll cut it like 7 millimeters per second. Or no, he's saying millimeters per minute.
Yeah, this is millimeters per minute. He doesn't want to slow it down any.
Ooh,
I generally don't like to go under 100 millimeters a minute on any laser, just because you're going to linger too long. But
yeah. So people keep saying that they're having some problems with the Luon, which I know, guys, this is not the same stuff that y'all are getting. But look at the edges. This is, my brother come over here the other day, and he's making one of my K-Cup carousels. This is the Luon that I get, and it's not, I mean, it's got a little soot, but you can see the golden brown. With proper air assist, that helps a lot with the soot. Those are the little cutouts from that K-Cup carousel that he's making, which is over there glued up.
All right, someone's asking about breaking down material.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So here's what I would recommend. This is a clamp-on guide, and if you're familiar with the brand Pittsburgh, this is from Home Depot, or not Home Depot, from Harbor Freight, and this will clamp onto the piece of plywood and give you a straight edge. And so if you have a jigsaw or a cordless circular saw, you can bring these two along and you can cut them down in the parking lot. Fairly inexpensive. I mean, the cordless saw is going to cost you more than the clamp-on tool. I think that clamp-on guide is $10 to $20. I don't remember what, but pick up one of those, and that'll help you break it down in the parking lot really quickly so that you can get it into your vehicle easier. Or if you can bring it home, then you can do it on that as well. But that's probably the cheapest way to break it down portably if you have the battery operated one, or when you get it home, you can use your corded circular saw, or a jigsaw would work as well. Anything that can ride along that straight edge. So you
Yeah,
don't need an expensive table saw.
I have the Craig Rip Guide that I use, and it works pretty well. Somebody's asking about the S value. I think that was Victor. What is the S value? So you want to swap me over here, and let me swap this to screen share there. Oh, where'd you go, Steve? It made you disappear.
I'm gone.
What
Goodbye,
the heck?
cruel world.
Okay, I'm gonna try to put it in full screen here so you guys can see. But Victor, you're gonna want to go like wherever your machine is. You're gonna want to go over here to edit and go down to device settings. And right here in the corner, make sure your S value is set to 1000. That will limit, if it's at 250 or 500, that will limit the output capabilities of your machine. There's also a dollar value associated with it in the command terminal over here, but this one should tell you, and you can change it here, and it'll affect the changes that you need to make if that's the problem. But to be honest with you, if you're having to go if you're going that slow and it's not cutting, there may be even more wrong. You may want to check your lens and see, because I mean, at that speed, I can't believe you're not starting a fire. But that's just me. Let's see, Bob. Well, hello, Bob. How are you? Well, Bob, I've got like 3 events coming up in June. They will be, and I guess I need to post those on my Facebook page. But I will have the first Friday night in June. They're having this big Peach Month kickoff, like celebration. They're having like a talent contest on the stage at the park downtown, and they're going to have all kinds of vendors and folks there. I'm going to be there. I think a few of the other folks from my area are planning on being there, but I don't want to speak out of turn for any of them. But I know I will be there. Klein is coming to help me man the portable Clack Shack, which I just got the trailer shaped up yesterday, got the shelves built. But I'll be doing the first Friday in June, second Friday in June, probably. The third Friday in June, I will more than likely be at the event, but I don't know if I'm going to be selling because I'm probably going to be sold out of stuff. And then we have the Peach Jam coming up. That'll be the last weekend in June, I think and that's where Nico Moon and some other country singers are going to be there, and I'm going to be set up at that. That's going to be a cool day. I'm trying to get some folks to come to that one because that's going to be, instead of, you ain't got to come see me, you can come see the hired talent. see him do some songs. They will be serving beverages in places, and it's basically like a Woodstock type, like outdoor concert vendors and everything. It's a big deal here in the county. That's where Steve's shirt came from. It's for the Peach Jam, and so I will be there. So if you're down this way, Bob, you got like basically every Friday night in June. You could catch me down in town where you saw me at last, somewhere in that area. So I need to put those create events on my page, don't I, for that.
The real question is what's going to be your talent show entry?
I'm not in the talent show. I had thought about it, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to show anybody up or anything because I'm actually quite the singer / dancer in my own mind.
See? All right. You got to share that with the world, man.
No. I have no rhythm and I can't carry a tune in a bucket. So, I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna leave that to them. Now I can sing karaoke at times, but there's some preparation that it is required before I do karaoke.
Sometimes your purpose is just to lift others up. So,
Yeah. Well, Bob, like I said, that's I'll try to create an events on my calendar. If I can do that on my Facebook page, I should be able to. So you'll know exactly when. The first Friday, I know I'm going to be there, and Peach Jam, I know I'm going to be there because I just paid a bunch of money to be in that event. So Peach Jam, I will definitely be there. First Friday, I will definitely be there. The second Friday and third Friday, I'm going to visit, but I'm probably not going to be set up. But you can probably find me there. I'll be running around with a camera somewhere because I do plan on trying to stream it, kind of like we did with the Strawberry Festival. Yeah, you figured it out there, Gray. it takes a little bit of a little bit of courage for me too. Typically, yes, Brian. And that's usually about the time I grab the microphones when Brandy's like, "Okay, it's time to go home."
Yeah, I just have to sit with the wrong group and get dragged up on stage. So I learned my lesson.
Yeah.
I was at a work conference one time. So
Yeah. Well, if you could have stayed here longer, we could have went and visited some of the local establishments down here. But you look like you had come off about a 3-day one when you pulled up.
yeah, no, I do. Next time I come down that way, definitely need to plan more time there, and so that we can do some projects and hang out more. And you do, yeah. You have it looks like a fun community there. I like, um, we have a lot of small communities here in Minnesota. And what I like to do is try to find the local cafe and check things out there as well, because there's always
Yeah.
cool, whether it's a bakery or like a cafe that has like some sort of lunch
Oh
special.
yeah, we
Those
could
are
have.
always like cool things to do. Yeah. So
Yeah, Sunday here
yeah,
is like there's not a whole lot open. You've
yeah,
got to
that's
go to
the
the touristy places or the convenience places.
right.
Everything else is closed. But yeah, next time you come down, maybe I'll have the Clack Shack sleeping quarters ready to go. We'll see how that
Well,
works out.
I was talking with Carla and when I got back about just the road trip in general and such. And our boys are getting upper teens, and they're hopefully going to be moving on with college and their own lives and such. So I think we may try to take a weekend here and maybe rent one of those smaller teardrop campers. Just try it out, see if it is feasible. Um,
Well, I
and
got
yeah,
water
then
and
that'd be something.
power like right here. I
Yeah.
got water and power right here.
So
You can like plug it and internet. So
there you go. Yeah. So yeah, no, I do think I'll probably be back to that fly-in next year, barring any crazy changes. So definitely in another year, I'll probably be swinging down that way again. But well, who knows? Maybe, like I said, maybe this winter gets old, or there's another. It's not terrible. I just shouldn't drive. This whole trip, I should not be driving 12 hours in a day by myself. Now, I need a
that's not
co-pilot.
it's not a good idea for sure. Uh, Brian, I do what I'm using the Atom Stack, the A30, and I'm gonna probably be doing a few more videos with it. I've been using the machines, but to be honest with you guys, when I've got projects going, because a lot of times I get stuck out here in the shop, and I've got my other machines running, and so it's like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I'll just grab, whichever machine I've got that I'm evaluating, and I'll run a few projects with it or whatever. But I don't always make a video because I've got my dust fan running. I've got both lasers, the air assist, and it's just really noisy. So I need to start doing a few more videos with it. But yeah, I'm still using it with the Atom Stack. It works okay. Uh, I don't use a lot of magnets, so that's really hasn't been a deal breaker for me. I have had a few small pieces that have fell over into the holes, but luckily, the stars didn't line up and nothing caught or got in the way. But how about you, Steve?
So I actually loaned mine out to my friend Mike. He has my Atom Stack A20, and he was playing around with some downdraft table designs. And so I just got it back the other day as well. So I haven't been able to use it recently. I'm kind of with you. Magnets I like using them, but I don't find myself. if my material is that warped, I generally don't use it, or I try to wet it and flatten it out first. Um, Outside of that, I'm usually using either a jig or just free placing it without issue. So that isn't a huge issue to me, but I do use kind of those honeycomb clips, and that also wouldn't work on the shark tooth thing. Um, so it kind of depends on what what I'm doing, but I would like to play around with kind of that downdraft table idea myself, and that would work well with that bed or a honeycomb. Um, but so far, I would say generally I prefer my honeycombs over that right now, just because of ease of use for those 3D printed pins that I use. So
Yeah, like I said, I don't use either a whole lot. I'm kind of like you. If I've got a piece that's warped up real bad, I find myself just basically cutting it into smaller pieces to take the warp out of it. Because a lot of times when you cut those things down in smaller pieces, it relieves that tension and
mhm.
lets them flatten back out. And I go through so much plywood because I just went the other day and bought 7 full 4x8 sheets, and I'm about half out now. I've got 10 sheets of 1/8 inch out there that I've got to cut up and stack, but I didn't get around to doing that this weekend. But yeah, the downdraft, this one over here that I just built, the new one, it's working really well. I'm trying to keep that design as simple as I can, and I've even thought about incorporating that cutting surface into it. Right now, I'm using a Congro honeycomb just because it fit the machine that I've got in there, which is the 2 trees. But yeah, I'm looking at I'm looking at the final design for this machine, and right now I'm trying to keep it fluid so that all these machines that I'm testing, I can just swap them out. I don't really want to marry it to one specific machine until I pick the winner. Uh,
There you go.
Go ahead,
You
Steve.
helped out Victor.
All right. Good deal. Glad we got it to help. There, got it help there. There you go.
I don't know if that was the right sound effect, but no, that's it's always nice.
I don't have cheering. That's better than this one.
Well,
Oh.
no, it's always great when we can help someone out real time on the live stream here. So glad that that helped out. So
Yeah.
and someone had asked.
Just make sure, hey, Victor, all we ask is subscribe, like, share, and follow.
Beaver Creek Farm Life was asking for the link to our Facebook group again, and I did put that in the chat there. So it's in there for people to join, and we get a lot of people in there answering questions as well, sharing projects and ideas. So that's out there, and we'd love that. Right before this, I think we were at 499 people, so it's been growing pretty steady. And so if you aren't a member of that and are on Facebook and want to have more chat with, it's really grown out of this live stream with the viewers. Jump in there and join in.
Yeah, because there's a lot of guys, even the guys that just like know more than we do. I mean, because there are some guys in here, I'm sure, that know a lot
Oh
more than
yeah,
me and Steve. We just are fortunate enough to have a platform that we can kind of share that information. And some of you have more information, but just choose to keep low profile, and that is very understandable. But when you go in that Facebook group, a lot of these guys will stand up and help you just like we do. And it's a cool place to share stuff. Now, I've been letting some folks get by because me and Steve, we are both believe in small business. We both believe in us individuals in the community being able to make a little bit of money. So if you share something that you do, that's okay. But if it becomes like every day over and over and just multiple shares, or if it gets to where there's too much, sales marketing going on, then we have to back that down a little bit because the reason for the group is not for it's not for that necessarily. It's for you guys to be able to share your work and to ask questions. So Bob, yes, I do run all of my machines off of one compressor, but keep in mind it is a belt driven compressor that requires a 30-amp breaker to operate. It's a 20-gallon compressor, V twin cylinder, belt driven. So it's not a like a hobby per se air conditioner or air compressor. It's actually rated for up to uh, sandblasting and spray and paint sprayers. It's not quite big enough for those, but it'll do everything from that down, like power tools and all that. So it's a decent size air compressor. My next one will be bigger though, because I'm about taxed this one out, I think.
Well, and I just approved 2 requests. We're officially over 500 in the group. So welcome to the ones who just joined in.
Cool.
And we'll continue to grow that.
Yeah. No, that's awesome about Victor. See, I love it when we get it right too. Because sometimes we don't. Sometimes we miss it. But I love it when we get it right. Uh who's that? Who's that saying I should get a Elgato Stream Deck? What the? Who said I should get one of those? See, guys, look. This is Steve's button.
Now, I wish I was getting commissions on some of these, because I know 2 of them have been bought because I bought one.
Hey, I used your link. Did you not send me an affiliate link? If you didn't,
You probably did. Yeah.
I used your link. Yeah, great. There's only really 3 of us that are moderators right now, and 2 of them are in this live talking. So we don't have a lot of moderators. We actually probably could stand to add another 1 or 2, but we don't. We don't want to like go crazy with it. So
yeah, it's been pretty good so far. It hasn't been, everybody that's come in there has, for the most part, behaved. We've had a few people, like you mentioned, we've had to shut down they're just coming in to spam their stuff. They're not adding to the group. But as it grows and gets, if it gets more difficult, we'll definitely need to revisit that. But
yeah. No, Brian, I actually don't make any money off of Facebook, either my page or any of that. None. I wish I did. That would be nice. Yeah, now that's the one thing we're not going to put up with is people coming in there just being nasty to folks and trying to start trouble. We don't have no need for that at all. Like I said, I don't have a problem with somebody. There was one guy shared that he made lenses the other day. I don't have a problem with that. If you and it's some folks that sell files or make graphics and stuff, but just don't start spamming us, or we will strike you out. I usually issue the warnings so they know, hey, don't be doing this. But yeah, we're trying to keep it. We're trying to keep it to where it's beneficial. Like Steve said, give more than you take. So. The Stream Deck. No, Brian, I've been trying to get her to actually like get in here where she can tag comments and stuff. And when I upgraded to the 1080p, I actually got more seats, because right now, me and Steve are kind of using the same streaming software. And so, me and him had the only 2 seats that were available. But when I upgraded, I actually got 2 more seats. So I've been trying to get her to, come in here and help do some of the comments, or even just come in here and talk. But she's not having it. Not her thing. She usually watches from her iPad. If she's watching, sometimes she lays it down and like doesn't watch. Well, I'm glad we got at least one machine fixed tonight. That's good. That's cool. Because that longer, like I said, that longer actually surprised me at how well it cut to be a 10-watt. It doesn't have limit switches, so it's a very basic as far as how you can use it. But the module cut really good on the one that I have. That one right there.
yeah, I think I was just talking with someone else that 2 years ago, I kind of wrote off these diodes as I don't want to mess with them. They were under 5 watts. They were like 1.5, 2.5 watt machines. But then they went from 510 really quick, and then now they've gone from 10 to 40 just as quick as well. So it's really impressive what has happened over the past, you know, 12 to 18 months with this technology, and it's made having this type of machine more accessible for more people that maybe have space or financial limitations to what they can deal with. So, kind of curious how far they'll push it, what we'll continue to see over the next 12 to 18 months, and
Yeah.
see where the technology goes.
Yeah. Appreciate it there, your time home inspections. But no, not happening. Uh, yeah, the people ask me all the time why I haven't gotten myself a big, CO2, and I'm not saying I won't get a CO2 eventually for my own, like my production for my, stuff that I sell, but I'm like you. I mean, there's a lot more people can afford to pick up a diode and be creative and have fun with it than can a big ohm tech or some of these other big AP lasers and stuff like that. I mean, so yes, they're nice if you need them, but so far I have been able to take my diodes and make enough money to, not just break even, but actually, put in an air conditioner, insulate my shop, buy a trailer, stuff like that. So as long as I can effectively make money with these machines, I'm going to continue to do so. But I tell you, I think we will be pushing the boundaries of diodes very soon. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't figured out why anybody hasn't done this yet, or if it's not possible. I'm not a electronics engineer or physicist or anything, but who says you can't take a diode laser and run it through a fiber optic cable? I mean, maybe you know more about it than I do, but it works for fiber lasers, does it not? For for infrared fiber lasers? Hmm? Hmm?
Well,
Huh?
yeah.
Because diodes will not cut clear. Fiber optic
Hmm.
cables are clear. So technically, you could make like 100-watt diode element and run a fiber optic cable to the gantry and add air assist, and voila.
Well, but I don't know what the purpose of that would be. Why wouldn't you just put the diode where you need it?
Bigger work area, because like most of these machines lose like 30 millimeters of workspace because of the size of the module. And another thing is, IT guy, heat sink. You could put a huge heat sink on the thing. You could even water cool it if you wanted to. You know,
Mm.
I mean, I think they're gonna. I think you'll see it in the next. I'll say I will call it 2 years. In 2 years, I think it's okay. Wait a minute, the wavelengths will not allow it. Okay,
Yeah,
maybe
I think
Gray knows something I don't.
I think you'd be losing so much trying to transmit it through there, because you can't. Yeah, you can't
See,
transmit it
I don't
through.
understand all the ins and outs of
Yeah,
all that stuff. Other end
yeah.
compressed to much
So
larger distance. The other end compressed too much. I don't know. Okay, well maybe y'all know something I don't, but I figure they'll figure it out somehow. They're going to figure out how to make the machine smaller, but the power output larger, and still not have to have a fan the size of
I
the
mean,
fan the size of a small car on them.
they're they're really not that big to begin with. So I think if
I
they
know.
just improve the cooling on it, so
Yeah, but I figure we'll have 80 watts within another year or two, like in the current configuration. Uh, because I mean, like you said, when I bought my X tool, what, a year and a half ago, the 10 watts were just starting to take off, and the sooner that I got it home, they came out with a 20 watt, and by the time I got it broke in, they came out with a 40. So it's like bounds and leaps.
yeah. Well, there's always people pushing the boundaries of physics and technology, and we get to benefit from it. So we'll definitely see some improvements. So.
Okay, so Jack's saying that a fiber basically does that, which I knew a fiber did that, but I guess it's a wavelength difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I just think they could do it. I think there's a way. They got to figure it out. But I enjoy mine. Like I said, the 10 watts. I love the fact that you get, like, I got one in the other day and everybody was arguing with me, like this 2 trees. It's the same frame as the 10 watt, but the work area on this machine is significantly smaller than the work area of the 10 watt because of the size of the diode. So I don't know if maybe they could make the maybe they could make the module to where it was slender at the bottom and then all the mass was up top, so that you could get the entire workspace. Something they've got to move the bulk of that girth up out of the workspace to where going from a 10 to a 20 to a 40, they don't keep shrinking the work area. So, and I think it's just a matter of design. They'll figure it out.
Here's another question. Jason's wondering, if you have the exact same machine, would the kerf offset be the same? It should be close, but there's a number of things that could affect that. So they're using collimating lenses, which combine multiple diode beams into one. And in some cases, you may even notice manufacturers are troubleshooting people's lasers that are having issues. They'll say, okay, put it on low power and shine it across the wall 5-10 feet away. You'll actually see the individual lines at that point. And sometimes you'll notice that one is, off a bit from the alignment of the others. And obviously that's going to have an effect on your kerf because that's going to be widening that area a bit. You could also have some just minor differences in how your focus lens is operating, your cover lens, but we're talking pretty minuscule terms here. So your kerf's going to be relatively close with two, same model, same power, whatnot machines, but there might be slight variations. Also, the bigger thing is different material is going to burn at different rates and will actually give you a different kerf. So your kerf on 1/4-inch material that's really lightweight and soft is going to be different from a dense hardwood 1/8-inch material. So you really want to make sure you're comparing apples to apples across the board on that. Again, there are going to be some minor variations in it. You're generally going to come into, X number is a good average for your kerf on most materials. But if you're looking for super tight fitting, inlay type things, you're going to want to test that kerf on your laser on the material that you're going to be using.
Yeah, somebody's asking about styrofoam. Deborah, I don't think styrofoam is a good idea. Styrofoam contains some pretty nasty stuff. So I would probably steer clear of cutting styrofoam.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Yeah. The only foam that I usually will cut with mine is the EVA foam. And that is generally okay to cut. You still want to be mindful of it. That's the type of stuff that's used in cosplay for making costumes. It's used in some, you can use it for thin layers for making kind of tool cutouts in boxes and things like that. But yeah, you definitely want to make sure that it doesn't have anything flammable. And if it's like a closed cell kind of thing, then it can have pockets of air and different chemicals that can cause some issues. But
yeah, great. I can tell you that about 12 inches above the work area, the laser beam starts getting into that stack of bricks look, like what Steve's saying, where it looks like a stack of bricks. Like you'll see, the further you get away from the material, the bigger it's going to get. And these machines, like I said, 2 or 3 millimeters in height makes a difference in the focus. So if you get feet away, it's just more or less just a really bright flashlight.
And please do this on very low power in a controlled room
Yeah.
with no one else around.
Yeah, don't shine it at your face.
Yeah, or no pets, people, spouses, kids. Please be careful with that.
Yeah, you brought it up, not me. The to cut, if you're cutting 4.8 millimeters, I use X Tools kickstands work really well. Okay, take the kickstand, set the kickstand to focus on the pro. On the right side, the secondary adjustment that you have, you're going to want to move that down one half the thickness of the material that you're cutting to put that focal point in the center of that material. So if you're wanting to cut 4.8, you're going to want to go to about 2.4, which is kind of tough, but I would probably say 2. If you go 2, that's gonna give you a really thin kerf, as well as it's going to help penetrate into the material a little more. So uh, I don't have a measurement per se, but the kickstand using that secondary little drop focus adjustment is very effective with the X tool. So, and Steve looked like he had something he wanted to tell somebody.
Um, the other thing I've done is, if you have, this is where I like having 1/8 inch material and 1/4 inch material. Um, what I'll do is I'll focus off of the 8 inch material with the normal kickstand. If you don't have the offset one like the X tool has, so if I'm going to cut 1/4 inch material, I'll focus off an 1/8 inch material, and then set my 1/4 inch material in there, and that should then have your focus point, halfway through that. So um, the other way is, once you have it set up, you can create an offset tool that is, based off the bottom of your nozzle, or based off the bottom of your module, that has the spacing minus however much. So
Yeah.
few different ways to do that. But
Yeah, the only thing you want to make sure of when you're dropping the focus like that is make sure your material's flat and it's not going to hit anything, because that's when you start dropping your focus, you can run into an issue with that, especially if you don't have flat material. Jason wants to know if you've ever messed with a resin printer there, Steve. I haven't.
I have. I bought, this was oh man, this is I think this was one of my lockdown purchases during COVID. I bought it was a longer orange 10, I think it was. So it's got a real small build area, and I played around with it a little bit, but haven't done a whole lot with it. I think used it to try to 3D print a air assist nozzle for my original D10, but I had the sizing off. So, and then I just used my FDM printer after that because it was faster.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played with around with it. I got a friend who has a couple as well, and he does a lot with the miniatures, and so he does more.
JD, in my opinion, that's one of those situations to where you've got to decide which is better for you. And to be honest with you, if you haven't ever played with engraving slightly out of focus, depending on what you're engraving, if you're trying to do a photorealistic type thing, then definitely you're going to want the smallest point for the engrave. But if it's block letters or something like that, a lot of times being a little out of focus might actually help the look of it, and it might actually make your burn darker. So that would be something I would say test to see what kind of engrave characteristics you get from dropping it. And if you don't like that, then just run a couple of extra passes and just focus at the surface. Uh, the only time I really do a lot of dropping the cut is when I'm doing like really big cut jobs, or with the two trees, you can actually set the cut layer to automatically drop 2 millimeters before it cuts, and it doesn't. You don't have to interrupt the burn. I mean, you could always, do the engrave and then turn the other layer, the cut layer, to output off. Then, once it finishes, go back and output the cut layer. But that would be a lot of trouble, and there could be some potential for an issue if your machine doesn't go back to a park location. But the new Z axes that are coming out are going to make the whole drop focus thing a lot easier uh, as they develop the technology, I think. What's your opinion on that, Steve?
Um, yeah, I would agree with you. You could play around with the out of focus. on the engraving, and you might like it unless you're doing like a photorealistic, you know, pixelated design. If you're doing a vector engrave, then you probably wouldn't mind and might actually like the look of the other. Otherwise, I tend to favor the engraving, and then I'll add passes for the cut. Uh, or if it's that thick of a material, you know, I might set it up in a jig, or have my, you know, make sure I have my machine parking in the offset so that I can manually lower it. But generally speaking, I'll just add some passes to get through it, because normally anything I do in that is probably going to be no more than 1/4 inch material, that for the cut. So I know that it should still get through, just with the added passes. So
Yeah. Gray wants us to do a video on processing photos. That's There's 1,000 ways of doing that, and there's 1,000 different ways, and 999 of them are the wrong way. But I guess I could show you the way that I do it. Just like I said, like I always say, just because this is how I do it, it doesn't make it gospel. It doesn't make it necessarily the only way. But I'll try to put one together one day when I ain't got anything else going. And
yeah, it's a lot of trial and error.
Brian said his wife cut his hair so he could spend $30 on some wood.
Yeah, no. If she's good at it and doesn't mind, might as well. Haircuts are not cheap.
But you agree, Steve? I mean, photos are challenging at times.
Yeah. So this is the one I did today, and I've done it before. It's not necessarily a photo, but it's a drawing, and it came out okay. But it's been processed a few times, and it started as a black and white sketch. That made it easier. But it's definitely something that you got to have some patience and do some trial and error on, get your process down. I would want to play around a little bit more myself before I can recommend like here's the go-to way, because anytime I've done it, I think I have it set up right, and then I run another one, I go, well, that's just not right either. So
Yeah. Brian, there's some machines coming out other than the variable air assist. There's some machines coming out that I think you're going to like, but they'll be, we'll see how that goes. But somebody said, is this kind of like a coloring book? The thing you got to remember with images is high contrast, in my opinion. And you only have two. It's like trying to draw a picture with just a Sharpie, because that's all you have is one color, black. Now if you do your power settings right, you can do a little shading, but you have to really play with your settings and process it to the point to where, because you have to basically, you set your black stop more or less. How black do you want it to be? And that is your maximum power output. Everything from there kind of drops down as percentages of that number. And so high contrast, it seems to help me more than anything. Is just, you want really high contrast and a good black and white photo, and take the background out if you can, because backgrounds just complicate things.
Yeah, you almost have to make it look over exaggerated in your contrast. I'll usually up my contrast. I'll even mess with the gamma and the brightness a bit to where the preview looks exaggerated more than you expect. But then when you run it through the laser, it's a bit muted, to get those details. The other thing too is, the larger the image and the larger the DPI, the larger physical object you're doing, the better it's going to look, but the longer it's going to take. It's not a fast process at what these lasers have, in 0.06 to 0.12 millimeter point, focus point. That's capable of a lot of detail, but it's going to take time to get it. So
Yeah, that's the one time, in my opinion, when having a 20 watt, even though you have lower resolution, you can turn those things out faster and still have a good looking image.
So I don't know if you noticed the Wizmaker now. They've got conflicting information depending on what you look at, but they're claiming a zero point zero 0.06 by 0.06 millimeter focus spot for the 20 watt. Um, whether that's true or not, that's not something I can necessarily measure. I mean, I can play with kerf, um, but that's what actually made this today. And I got to say, I was actually impressed with the amount of detail I've had on this one over some of the other 20 watts. So they may
Well,
be onto something that having a higher focus point. So
let me show you this. Speaking of the Wizmaker, this was one of my little test burns I did the other day with the Wizmaker. And if I can get this camera to focus, that thing, this little badge right here, let me get it away from the camera. You see how big that is, right? That's not very big.
mhm.
But it picked up a lot of the detail of that image, like a lot. So it's the resolution of that machine actually did impress me. This was a little hard for me to believe that that machine was able to do that. So they may actually, that may be accurate. Because I wasn't expecting that from a 20 watt. It has the image quality of a 10. So that may be what's causing it.
Yeah, and in my video, I'm going to try to show a close up of this because you definitely see some of the details. Like I'm seeing the folds in the cloak in the background. That's it's Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and in the background, and stormtroopers taking a selfie. Well, it's hard to see here, but there are actually folds in the cloak that are coming through in that image. Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
having this with a smaller focus point like that in a 20 watt machine, like you say, it's faster. You can throw more power at it and get that done quicker. So
You want to diagnose this one because we both know what the problem is, or do you want to? What you want to go?
60 millimeters a second, the laser stutters. Um,
Grayscale.
is Yeah. What mode are you in?
It's going to be
Um,
grayscale if it's
and
stuttering.
also, do you have white space scanning enabled? Those two things can mess with it at faster speeds.
Yeah, I don't run grayscale because it makes it sound like your belt's about to come off your machine. Uh, if you get faster, like you said, it sounds like my X tool was going to fly apart. I've tried it on Atom Stack. I've tried it on Acer. I've tried it on all of them, and grayscale, the laser's trying to speed up and slow down instead of modulating the power output, and it just makes a god awful racket. I stick with Jarvis on images because it doesn't do that. Jarvis modulates the laser output rather than the speed.
Yeah, Jarvis or Stucky are the two that I play with in these images and get decent results from that without the stuttering. But also, depending on the machine, having the white space scanning enabled, if you have that speed too fast, that can also cause some jumpiness that can mess around. So.
Mm. I'll let you take this one, tech guy.
The Yeah, the focus lens and how it's combining the multiple points together. Yes, that's where they will come up with their high accuracy spot, and that's where you see the ratings of zero point zero 0.08 by zero point zero 0.08 or zero point zero 0.06, or sometimes it's rectangular where it's zero point zero 0.06 by zero point 0.12. So that's going to be kind of dependent on what your maximum DPI is, because otherwise, if you're going tighter than that, you're overlapping those dots trying to do it. So um, it's also going to depend on what the original photo was. If it was too low of a resolution and you try to upscale it, it's also going to mess it up. So you want to start with a file that has um, a large DPI and a large physical size to be able to scale that down, but then also work within what your laser is capable of. Brian, I have not run kerf tests on it yet. I was going to do that, but I ran out of time today, so that will be coming.
Yeah. Yeah, John, when you use the trace function in Lightburn, it pretty much sets everything to feel of unless there's something I'm missing. And when you trace it, when you do that, it's gonna set the lines to a feel. Now you could, if it's just a line that you're trying to do, you could technically go in there after you trace it, delete one of the lines, and then change the other one into an actual line rather than a feel. And if you needed it to be thicker, you could then, using the offset tool, create an offset to the custom thickness that you would like for it to be. That would be my fix. What do you say, Steve?
That's one way. I don't, and Brian brought this up too. I don't know that Lightburn has this, but that some tracing tools will have a center line trace where it looks at the contrast, it identifies the two lines, and then it will basically split the difference and create one line instead of two. That is if you're looking at tracing plans, especially like model airplane plans or something like that, where they might be hand drawn or they have a thickness to them. That's where having a tool that will do the tracing and do that calculation for you will save you a lot of time.
I'm not going to say Lightburn does it, but I haven't run across that yet. But I'll be looking for it.
Mm-hmm.
The Comgrow 0.08 by 0.08 on the 20 watt, it is very, very close to the same as the X tool. I can't, like I said, me and Steve don't have the capabilities of measuring that, but I will tell you that doing photos with the two machines, matter of fact, hang on, doing photos with the two different machines, the difference in the resolution between the two is very similar. So let me see if I can find them here. I've got actually swap over. All right, O'Toole Comgrow combo. That's the 20 watt O'Toole head on the X tool, and there's the X tool. Same exact image, same exact settings. So I don't know. What do you think, guys? I mean, one is a little darker than the other, but there's a little more white spots in this one, but I'm not 100% sure if, like I said, those two machines were sitting there side by side. I ran it on one, moved it over to the other, just changed machine profiles, and ran it on the other. So that's the results I get. So it's pretty it's pretty close race in my opinion between the X Tool 20 watt and the O'Toole 20 watt or O'Toole Comgrow. That's the O'Toole machine running the Comgrow 20 watt module that I used on that. Yeah, now I may have messed the focus up a little bit or whatever, but.
So one way to try to dial in your lines per inch is to do an interval test and just have it set them further and further apart on each pass. So it'll do like your fill test for gradients, but it will start to separate those lines at intervals, and that will help you dial in just what your lines per inch should be. Gray Viking, as far as the Corsair file, that's actually it's a file on Etsy. I went ahead and added that link to the video description if you want to go check it out. They have a few, the Corsair and the Mustang and others that I've used, and they're, I don't know, they were like $3 to $5 tops. They were a lot cheaper than spending the time to make my own. So that's already out there to play with. You just got to go buy it from that Etsy seller.
Yeah. Well, hello, Anthony. But yeah, I swapped sides with Steve tonight. I figured I'd let him have that side for a little while. I don't normally do this, but whatever. It doesn't matter. Uh, but yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, I really want to try to get some of these other machines. What I need to do one day is I need to do like a big, just get me a big sheet of wood and go to each machine and do an image and put the label in, and just that way we can have that to discuss. Like that, it's going to take a lot of time, but I may have to do that.
I'll just pick a nice day where you can open up the door, set them out on a table, a bunch of USB cables, and press start.
Well, I don't like doing that. Now that I've got my air conditioner, I let all my cool air out, Steve. I can't be doing
Well,
that.
as I said, a nice day where you can open the door. I mean, come on, you can slum it like the
I've
rest of it.
even I've actually got to put fresh air intakes into both of these enclosures and redo my ventilation so that I'm not pulling my cold air out of the shop and blowing it outside. Yeah, Chris, it just had to be a smaller image, but yeah, I could probably do it. Now, I will tell you this: that longer 10 watt back there, resolution wise, that guy, that thing's insane. How accurately the resolution is on it. It does a really good job. It's a 10 watt, but it does a really good job of engraving. I actually got to put my hands on an Atom Stack A5 the other day. One of the guys that in my area had an A5 and couldn't get it to work. He brought it over. We adjusted it, changed some settings in his Lightbird configuration, and got it running. And it had a really good engraving capability, but it wasn't much for cutting.
Hmm.
There you go, Steve. There's your one right there.
Image looks hazy
Mm-hmm.
at the top and the bottom. Um, guess it. Um,
You know what it is.
oh, top and bottom. I was thinking. I had to think about this a little bit. So I would double check that if you don't have overscan on to where it can extend beyond it, that would be one thing to check, or the constant power mode if that's not. Let's see if that was on or off. Normally it's off. Um, that could have an effect because as the laser's trying to slow down, it might be overpowering the beam, and then it could get hazy. So make sure that constant power mode isn't checked in your settings, and that'll hopefully clean that up for you.
Yep. And if you're uncertain where those are, because that's exactly what I think that's going to be. Well, where's all my designs at? Okay, there goes one. See, I've lost my designs. Uh, Overscanning needs to be turned on. Reason being, this allows the laser head, as it's moving, it allows it to continue firing at this constant rate and then turn off as the machine extends past the burn, comes back, and then starts again. If you turn this off, that laser has to stop output before it can turn around and come back. When it does that, you're gonna have that fade. So you're gonna want to make sure that that is turned on at least some, and also, of course, constant power mode. There's really never going to be a need for that other than I found one application to where I need that, and that was cutting transparencies for stenciling. But for the most part, I think your problem's probably going to be that your overscan is turned off and the machine's trying to power down as it moves back and forth. So it's going to be right there. Typically, I don't know why this one's set at 5%. Typically, it's what, 2.5, isn't it, Steve?
Yeah, the default is 2.5.
That's something in that graphic, apparently. I don't know why that's set to 5, but anyway. All right, there you go. Oh, hello. But yeah, I knew you would know what that one was because we just had that debate because some guy told you were wrong about that the other day. Remember? He said you didn't know what you was talking about. Oh,
Yeah.
but but that would that would contribute. There's a slew of other things it could be, but that would be one big obvious thing to check. That would be easy to tell if that was the problem or not.
Yeah,
Uh,
and this could be on typical engravings too that aren't on a tumbler. If it's just your edges, then it's one of those two things. It's either um, constant power is turned on or overscanning is not turned on. It tries to compensate. Lightburn itself tries to compensate the power. Normally, overscanning helps it maintain that speed beyond it and do the slow down and turn around. But yeah, on tumblers you would definitely it's not going to be a material thing. So that's the thing is sometimes on the edges it's just a deviation in material on wood, but on a tumbler you should have a fairly consistent material to do it. So
yeah, yeah. Gray, I don't know him personally, but I do know of Louisiana Hobby Guy. I know me and Steve both uh, know of him and have watched some of his videos, and he's actually helped me on some stuff when I've gotten stumped before.
yeah, I've had a couple emails back and forth with him at times and such. So I mean, I know of him, I've watched him, and we've communicated a little bit, but I don't know him very well by any means. But
Okay, see, I don't ever pay that much attention. The time remaining, folks is still saying they're having trouble with that. I don't know.
um, I see this the most when doing photo engravings. And the thing is that Lightburn is estimating it based on what it knows about the laser. But in reality, you might set it to say 10,000 millimeters a minute. It may never actually get up to that speed because of various variables, whether you have white scanning enabled, if it's too small and literally can't accelerate and decelerate because it's too small of an image. So Lightburn's estimating that it's going to be traveling at that speed with some acceleration or deceleration, but the laser itself might not be reaching those speeds, and that's where it starts getting those differentiations. Um, and I'll be honest, it's other than just sheer cutting, where it tends to be fairly accurate. Um, it tends to be all over the place on these lasers. A little bit better on my CO2s and the Ruida controllers and such than the Gerbil ones, but it's frustrating, especially if you're trying to use that for estimating job time and billing. That's definitely a frustration. So some of that just you got to run some tests and figure out, hey, a photo engraving of XY size is going to take roughly this much time, and then base it off of that. But I don't have a good fix for you on the getting that estimation any more accurate.
Yeah, I don't have that big of an issue with mine, and I don't know what the difference is. The only thing sitting here thinking about it, what could be causing that, is I wonder if somebody has a machine like because as well as I do, a lot of these machines they'll say that they'll run 15,000 millimeters per minute or whatever, and then when you get them and you get them in your shop, they're set to 6,000 millimeters per minute, and it's like okay that so it's limited to how fast it can go, and I wonder if some of these guys that are having those just astronomical times like that, if it's because Lightburn plans to go this fast, but the controller will not allow it between moves or whatever. Because I don't have the problems. Everybody keeps saying that, but every machine I test, I never have the problem of it's twice as long. It may be a couple of minutes here or there, but for the most part, mine are usually dead on as far as the travel as the times. So that's the only thing that I'm thinking it could be because I do know I got a new machine in the other day, and the first engrave I did with it, it took twice as long as it did after I unleashed it and set it to 18,000 millimeters per minute, as opposed to the 6,000 millimeters per minute that it came set at the factory, as far as the max X and Y speeds. So I don't know if that might be what's causing that. I'm kind of wondering if that could possibly be the culprit that's causing that. We'll
Um,
have to experiment.
yeah, that definitely would be would be one thing. But yeah, he's saying that it's the cutting is taking more than twice as long, which I'm a little surprised that. Yeah, like I said, most of the time I see it is in the image engravings versus vector type stuff. So,
yeah, I'm not,
you may want to create another profile for your laser. Pull down the settings again. Just start fresh and see if that makes a difference. I've had it a couple times where I've installed a machine in Lightburn and just something is way off, and I've just wiped out the profile in Lightburn and recreated it, and that's fixed a number of things. Depending on which laser it is, there might be a firmware update for it. Double check that to make sure that it's communicating with the software right. But yeah, it's definitely something that would be nice to be a little more accurate on.
Yep. Mayfield, it's going. It's kind of like Chris said. It's going to depend on the mirror itself. Some of the cheaper mirrors take less power. Some of the there's a lot of variables. I will tell you that I don't have it with me. Let me look. I will tell you that it doesn't take a lot of power for a mirror. Like 20% power to 100 millimeters per second on a 20 watt, I think, was the last one I did. So it doesn't take a lot of power unless you're wanting to frost the mirror. There's a lot of, kind of like Steve says, it depends. It depends on the look that you're going for, as well as the material. So a material test would give you the best information to go forward with. But it's not going to take a whole lot of power to wipe the shiny surface off the back of a mirror. Like I said, 20%, I think, at 100 millimeters per second is what I did my last one at without frosting it. So, no, Gray, I don't know if he's talking to me or somebody else. I do them with the back facing up, and I just mirror image my design. That's what works best for me. And I've got a video on doing a mirror. Now, if you want to frost it, you can run more power, but be careful because I did find some of these machines, you can actually crack the mirror if you turn the power up too high with it in focus. It will actually cause a crack. I've done that a couple times too. All right, guys, if you hadn't already, like, follow, subscribe, give us a thumbs up. I can't see how many likes and stuff we've got, but if you've been watching with us, give us a like, give us a thumbs up. That helps promote the channels. And as always, subscribe to myself and Steve, and also go check out the laser engraving group. Anthony, that was just more or less me testing my little setup I did over there, but I'm liable to if I ain't got a lot going on. I'm just there. I could go live at any moment. You never know what's going on. But that is the group, and if you just go search for that, I think Steve, you have it where you could drop it in the chat because I don't seem to. It won't let me copy it.
Yeah, give me a second. I did that earlier.
As I said, I thought you did. But if you haven't already joined the group, guys, there's some very knowledgeable folks in there. Other than me, just me and Steve, there's some other folks in there that are very knowledgeable that'll love to help you out. So if you hadn't done that, go check that out, and please like, subscribe, follow, share, all that cool stuff. And oh, look at that. Oh, Steve. There you go. See, somebody's going to wish they hadn't have told me about getting a Stream Deck before it's all said and done. But it's been around. It's been almost 2 hours. So, guys, if you're going to cut out, you can cut out. Like I said, if y'all got any questions, last chance, last call. I don't want to keep Steve up too late. He
we started.
He has to have his beauty sleep.
My college goes on summer hours after the spring semester ends, and so they compress us to 4 9-hour days, Monday through Thursday, and then a 4 hour Friday. And I am the type of person that I'm a night owl, but I cannot stay at work uh, past about 4:30. I can if I have to, but just day to day, my productivity at 4:30 is just like forget about it. So I bump my hours in the morning. So I need to get up and be at work at like 6:30 if I want to get out of there a reasonable time. Um, and But it's nice because then I'll just burn 4 hours of vacation on a Friday and have a 3 day weekend whenever I want. So
Yeah. Anthony, yeah, I did see that. That it looked like it was I guess a 3D type burn that you did. I did see that in the group. I think I even give you a thumbs up on that one. Uh, JD, I have started because since I've run across this problem, what I have started doing, and this is what I've done. Now, I'm not telling you this is the best way. This is what I've done. I've done it to every machine that I've got. I've done it to the last 3 machines that I've gotten in the shop. Is when I get these machines, typically here lately, they've all been set to 6,000 millimeters per minute as far as the max X speed and the max Y speed. And I have went in and changed that from 6,000 to 18,000, which dictates to me 300 millimeters per second on both axes, because I can actually shade with a 20 watt at 300 millimeters per second. Now it's going to be a very faint shade, but I can shade there. And they're advertising these machines run 54,000 millimeters per minute and all this. So far, I haven't had any problems with it. I don't typically run my engrave speeds up above 200 or so, but the fast white space scan and moving from position to position is much faster when you knock those speeds up, because I had one the other day, and after I changed the settings to when it finished one part and went to the other part of the engrave, it moved much faster. Uh, and I haven't seen any significant decrease in accuracy or the resolution of the images or anything. So that's what I'm running them at right now, which is, like I said, it seems fine. I've been running the two trees that way. I've been running the Atom Stack A30 that way, and uh, the Whizmaker, I did it that way. And I've got another one that I've had in the shop for about a week now that I've been playing with, and I had to do it too. They're all, for some reason, coming set at 6,000 in light burn. Even though they advertise 54,000 or whatever on their website, light burn assigns that speed to the controller, and you have to go in and change it, I guess. That's my take on it. Steve, do you have any further input on that, or any light bulb moments that I overlooked?
yeah, no, I've noticed the same thing on most of mine. So I definitely made it a habit to go and check that on the setup to make sure that I bump that up. And I don't always bump it up to what the manufacturer says they'll do, just because anything above even 12,000, unless you've got a 30 to 40 watt laser, I find it useless at the even at the speeds, because you're losing. Yeah, it's just moving too fast to be effective. But yep, no, that's something I've found I've needed to do on most of the recent ones.
Yeah. Well, you can see right here my bamboo speed test that I did. This speed test starts at 80 millimeters per second and goes to 300. And at 100% output, I'm still getting a nice brown finish on bamboo. And this was with the Aether. So that's why I chose 300, because if you look right here, this barely, it almost doesn't mark at 300 at millimeters per second at 30% output. So I have kind of chosen 300 to be my cap. That is as high as I set them to run. But all the way up on the 100%, I can actually mark bamboo at 300. So, and this is how I discovered this problem, because it was to where it would go up and it would be changing, and then it would be just the same all the way up. But then when I adjusted the max speed, that's when I was able to get this actual gradient going on there. So, just food for thought.
But But there again, I would question whether it's actually reaching those speeds on that test.
And it may not be, but that's what I set the max speed to, and it
Right.
did. It does show a difference in the color. It's kind of hard to see with the lighting, but you can see that the speed is something's changing because it's making a difference in the burn. But the navigation speed on the machines increased a lot, and that to me is important as well. But anyway, that's about it. That's all I got, guys. What is the max section? 300 millimeters per second or 18. Like I said, Steve's. I mean, I'm not going to be running them much over 200, but I can tell you they won't come apart at 300 on a speed test. They stay together. It's not going to damage the machine. I'd be afraid to go much faster. I'm like Steve. Something's going to come loose eventually.
Well, and I see in a number of forums that people are asking like, how are you securing your machine down? And I'm kind of like, I've never felt the need to secure my machine down. I'm really wondering what they're doing to make their machine walk. Because if it's that bad, something's messed up. But yeah.
Which machine are you talking about, Brian? I would have to access the controller to be able to tell you that, but my home speed typically, depending on the size of the job that I'm doing, I run it anywhere from 75 millimeters a second to 100, and that's adjustable on the move tab. Hang on. Let me look. Let me get over here on my machine. I thought I had light burn up. I didn't. $25, you say? Yeah, mine's set to 3,000. So that's what mine's set to. $25 is set to 3,000. So, but now you can change the home speed on your desktop. I don't know if you're aware of that. Uh, Hang on, I'll show you here. Screen share. Uh, you can actually change that right here on your home speed. If you're doing a bigger job, you want it to go faster or slower, you can modify that. Just in case you overlooked it, because I did for a long time. But that's it for tonight, guys. We got to get going. Steve's got to take his Geritol. Go to bed. Oh, that's been fun. It's been interesting. I'm glad we have one successful on the live repair tonight. I
Mm-hmm.
guess he got his machine fixed and he bailed on us. I bet he's making smoke right now. He's been trying to cut that. He's been trying to cut that all day, and he's like, "I am going to get it done."
It's got a new toy now.
Sure, Pascal. Like I said, if you guys need to go ahead and carry on. I hate to leave anybody hanging. So what you got, Pascal? Went out of focus for me. What are you talking about? Is he talking about the screen share? If you'll look on the move tab in Lightburn, if you're talking about if you're talking about the home rate on the move tab, look on the far right side of the screen. You'll see distance, speed, and Z speed. The speed, if you'll hover over the home button, uh, it used to say, wait a minute, the frame. That's what it is. It'll tell you that it draws its speed from that box. But if you'll change that, that actually will cause the machine to move faster. I usually just leave it set like, what is it, 50 millimeters a second. That way, if I forget and leave a piece of material in there or something, it doesn't tear nothing up. Oh, Victor, I figured. Hey, I'm
He's
not gonna lie,
he's still
Victor. If
with
I'd
it.
have been trying to get,
Yeah.
yeah, if I'd have been trying to work on my machine all day, I might have had y'all playing in the background, but I'd be over there making smoke. Heading off.
So
Down my engraver, engraving mirror up and down, left, right. Origin. Boom.
mhm. Yeah, check to make sure that your origin matches what your laser wants to start out in. So if it homing to the lower left, you want to make sure your origin is down there as well. Um, so you'll get that, like if you've ever worked with an X tool profile and then switched to another profile, everything's flipped. That's because the X tool's origin is upper left versus lower left. So
Yeah. Uh, do you want to? Do you know where to go to fix that, Pascal? It should be in just if you hit edit and go to device settings. Look up in the top left corner. There's like four little dots, and you can just pick whichever dot is matches your setup, whether it's top left, top right, bottom left, bottom right. But yes,
yeah,
what
that's
machine
usually
are you
part of the
using,
device
Pascal?
setup.
What machine you got? See ya, Sharon. Thanks for dropping in. But I could show you on mine where the origin is. The origin's right there. You can click, and that is going to affect all the way it works. So just know that. Let me hit cancel. I do not want to save that. X7 Pro, X7. Which machine is that?
Atom stack.
Oh, okay,
Chris,
okay. Yeah,
that's just an extra
that.
service here.
So that
Information
would
and
be
humor.
bottom. That would be bottom left, right? All the Atom
It
stacks
should,
are
yeah.
bottom left.
The X, it should be bottom left for the X7.
Just can you do a screen share? What is he talking about? Brian talking about screen share of
Um,
what?
I think he's comparing our clarity, our image clarity.
Oh, is mine bad?
Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can bring up Lightburn.
See, I don't know what's up with mine. It's gonna if my video not good. Yeah, we can make it full screen. It may be the resolution on this TV,
Hopefully, you
or
got that.
it could be this software. See, I'm gonna go back and watch a replay now and see. My
It's
screenshot's
all your bells and
blurry. Let
whistles.
me see. Well, let me see. Let me get the whole screen here. I can't see it that well. So that it's probably it may be the resolution on this TV because it's sharing the TV screen instead of my monitor. So I don't know. I don't know, guys. But well, I've got the same stuff running that you do, as far as I know. The only thing that I am doing is I'm using my Stream Deck, so I have Streamlabs running in the background, and I'm popping everything through Streamlabs into Restream. Are you just running straight off of Restream, or are you using Streamlabs too?
No, I'm running straight after stream. Not even using any. I'm using the straight from the camera. Not even using any software
Let me
for
see
that.
what let me see what this does with my screen share. Does that make it any better, guys? Any better? Any better? I don't know. I have no idea. It's probably the software. I don't think it's a camera because I've got the Elgato Stream Cam. I don't know. Who knows, guys? We'll try. We'll see what's happening. It may actually be something to do with YouTube, but I'll go back and watch it and see if I can see any major problems. But we'll see. Questions? Last call. Last call, guys. I gotta have a Tums. I ate pizza and I shouldn't have. But anyway, all right. Well,
if you don't have any questions now, definitely drop them into the Facebook group or put some comments in on either video later. We'll try to check up on those as well. Otherwise, save them up for next week. We should be back same time, same channels. Meantime, we appreciate everybody's feedback and input on our other content. That always helps. Liking those. Throw it. Yeah, any comment helps as well. Just say, hey, that was cool, or your beard looked funny in this one, or any comment on any of our videos just goes to help and helps get it out there as well. So, appreciate everybody there. And yeah, we'll see you again next week with maybe some more fun stuff to talk about.
yes, sir. Chris, you've lost me. What's the speed of dark? You've lost me on that one. That must be a joke. All right, guys. Enjoyed it. And next Sunday, we'll be back. So y'all stay tuned. Maybe next Sunday, Steve can break down to a t shirt. But later, y'all be safe.